Hello, everyone. Welcome to NEOC's webinar, Network in the CISO's Priorities. Network is not just a background plumbing anymore. My name is Nadeem Zahid, and I run the US business for NEOC's Networks. With the rise of digital transformation and hybrid cloud adoption, an increasingly riskier world, the role of the network has become very strategic, both from operational and security perspective, and that is our topic today. Let me introduce you to our speaker with an impressive tenure exceeding over 25 years in IT industry and security. Dr. Ardalaskaya is a distinguished figure in the global cybersecurity landscape. Serving as the CISO for NEOX, Dr. Oskaya is the vanguard, crafting cybersecurity strategies and guiding the information security risk management. Dr. Oskaya is zealous about navigating cybersecurity quandaries and propelling digital innovation across the corporate realm. His extraordinary leadership and acumen have not gone unnoticed, garnering recognition as a top 50 tech luminary by IDC and CIO Online, and earning the prestigious title of Global Cybersecurity Influencer of the Year award from the InfoSec. With that, without delay, let me hand off to Dr. Oskaya.
Thank you, Nadeem. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. I said that because we are a global company, and I know, for example, Nadeem right now is in San Francisco. I am in New York. Our Germany office is in the afternoon, and I have friends in Australia. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to this wonderful webinar. What are we going to cover today? Before that, I don't have to reintroduce myself. Nadeem did it already. For the ones they know, I have more than 20 published books. If you ask me what makes me most proud, I can say this is one of them, that my books has been translated to multiple languages. And today, all of you are getting free ebook as well for joining this webinar. All what you have to do is join this QR code or go to NEOX Networks website, and the book is for you totally for free, which I written late last year and it was published this year. All right, enough of books. Let's talk about what we're going to cover today. When it comes to cybersecurity, you all know that we have to be able to know what we have so we can protect it. Most of the time, cybersecurity is considered in the endpoint layer, server layer, but we always keep forgetting one thing. What is connecting the endpoint to servers, the servers to the cloud? Of course, it is the network. And there is a famous saying that you cannot protect what you cannot see. What are you doing to be able to see what is floating in your network? You might be a CISO, CIO, CTO, or just an IT professional. What should be your priorities? Where should network security fit in? And of course, I'm going to give you a couple of real life examples. Okay, let's start. Why network security matters? I think that's easy because network is essential for business operations, communications, and productivity. We do get connected via networks. You all know we have fiber optic cables across the globe, under the oceans. We use wireless technologies. We use satellites. We use all these technologies with the 7 layers of networking, right? The OSI layer. And at the end, we use either TCP, UDP, somehow to get connected. I'm not going to go to the basics, which I'm pretty sure most of you do know. What else? Network is the pathway for both legitimate traffic, legitimate data, and of course, malicious data. Like in everything, there is two sides when it comes to the sword, right? There is the cutting side, and there is the other side, which is not that sharp. Same applies to AI, same applies to everything. And we can use anything for good or bad. Just imagine the dark web. You can go and find some good stuff there, or if you have some bad intentions, you can do bad stuff there. But again, what is making all these communications? Of course, networking. I'm not going to go and speak too much about why network security matters, but I think it's important for you to know the blind spots. If you have a driving license, or if you have drive the car, even a bicycle or motorcycle, you know that you have to check over shoulders to see what is behind you. When it comes to network security, what are your blind spots? We can go and speak hours about it, but limiting the time, knowing the time limitations, there is top 3 in my opinion. First of all, cloud services. Even big cloud service providers had some incidents to their own cloud services, because cloud services can create blind spots due to complex configurations and shared resources. And one thing that we oversee here is usually that the shared responsibility. But again, this is a different webinar topic. What else is a blind spot? Remote devices. I'm working remotely for the last 20, probably 15, 20 years. I'm always on the road, traveling, flying around. But after COVID, this became even more serious. Now we have remote devices, we have BIOD devices, we have mobile devices, we have devices which travels all across the globe, connects to different networks, and this is usually a blind spot as well, where hackers, threat actors usually like to attack. What else? IoT environments. Today, everything is connected. You probably see my watch, my phone, my cameras, my car, my thermostat, I can talk half day about it. But how do we really secure IoT environments? Yes, I'm pretty sure you are aware of the IoT attacks which happened in the last few years, and it keeps coming up. The best way to protect usually IoT is via networking, because no matter what you use, remember, network is the pathway. So we should be able to see what is floating in our network. So if I go and ask you that simple question, how many people are living in your house? I'm pretty sure you can answer this straight away, unless you live in a shared accommodation. Or if I ask you, how many hearts do you carry? Probably you will say 1. But what about the millions of bacteria, or good and bad, they live in our body as well? They have some sort of living system as well. How do we control them? All right, yes, I got a PhD, but I'm not an MD. But when it comes to network, do you really know how many devices are connected in a network? Or do you really know which connection is going where? Why? Because when a threat actor comes into your environment, the first thing they will try to do is probably to do lateral movement. What is lateral movement? Basically, owning a device, hacking a device, and from there, move to others, and the target is to reach the Active Directory or actor service. And based on Microsoft, they do that within 72 hours, so 2 days. Again, based on Verizon Data Breach Report, 80% of the attacks involve lateral movement. So, what else? Let's go into the topic. How can you see so you can protect? Look, there are many vendors out there, and I worked for some of them in the past, say, hey, you don't have to be fear from the unknown. Yes, you don't have to be unfair from the unknown, but if you only do the right approaches. Is your security products depending, or are your security products depending on signatures, on AI, on whatever endpoint security or server security or whatever security technology is? The most important thing is still to see what's happening in the network. And if you have lack of visibility, you will have unmonitored risk zones. And unmonitored risk zones will usually come and hit you back as ransomware, as malware, as data breach, or you name it. It's like driving. If you don't have a clear vision, most probably you are in a high risk zone while driving. What else? Shadow IT. This is one of the biggest issues based on Gartner. Shadow IT, unmanaged devices, rough systems are still creating blind spot today, 2025. I worked in multiple Fortune organizations, Microsoft, Standard Chartered Bank. I had the opportunity to visit probably 80 of the Fortune companies, top Fortune 100 companies. And while in the news everything looks great, some of them are still dinosaurs. Some of them still have legacy systems. And the best way to protect legacy system is usually to upgrade it. But what if you cannot upgrade? Of course, if you can manage a threat network, if you can monitor the network correctly, if you can see what's happening in the network, of course, you will minimize the risk. But please be honest. Out of so many reports you read, out of so many vendors you work with, how many of them are pointing this point? They usually suggest you to upgrade, which is a good choice because if there is a vulnerability and you don't patch it, this can create a big problem, especially if it's an internet-facing device. But if you can control the network, if you have a tap device entering from the beginning to the end, and you have right devices which Neox provide, for example, you will see what's happening. You will know what's happening, and you will minimize the risk on the network. What else is that issue? Remember a few seconds ago, I mentioned ransomware. What is ransomware? They usually come and encrypt your network. What else? IPv6, for example. This is also encrypted traffic. What is encrypted traffic? Encrypted traffic, mass acceleration, and command and control. Remember, I mentioned again that 80% of the breaches still use lateral movement. And as soon as a device has been hacked, depending on the hacker's target, if it's a black hat hacker, they might want to destroy the environment. As example, remember the Petya attack, which happened in Ukraine a few years ago before the war. 60,000 computers were being destroyed within 1 hour. They didn't even bother taking anything out. But what else? Usually, acceleration happens. Threat actors come in, they either encrypt your data, and these days they steal your data, send it out to sell it back to you or to someone else. And they do it encrypted, which is also an important way to look. I'm not saying every encrypted traffic is bad. Remember, again, I mentioned IPv6. It's encrypted. And it provides extra network security. But if you don't know what packet has been encrypted or what is encrypted and where this encrypted traffic goes, this can create some issues as well. So yes, encryption is good, but not every encryption is good in your network traffic. And you have to flow the traffic and see, is it going to my cloud provider or is it going to a command and control center where the hacker captures my data? What else? What are the importance of the network threat landscape? Let's talk about it a little bit. First of all, you have to have a proactive defense. What is a proactive defense? First of all, you have to go and implement advanced security measures to be able to stay ahead of emerging threats. It is really important because this is one of the most effective ways to protect you from a sophisticated cyber attack. You don't have to be reactive. You have to be proactive. Don't forget, you have to have a breach mindset. You should be able to assume that you're going to hack any second. You have to have the correct incident response plan. You have to have and the incident response plan should guide you through to where you want to go. What else? 2, AI and automation. This is going to make our life easier. Yes, I know some of you are afraid of AI. Yes, AI can be used like the SWOT I mentioned in the beginning of my slides, good or bad, but it's time to leverage AI and automate the system because this can enhance your threat detection and response capabilities. So, whatever product you're using, try to use the AI and automation. You don't have to have AI sometimes. Sometimes automation, scripting, or tasking your workloads can help you as well. And of course, you have to be compliant with the regulations. It all depends where you are. If you're in California, the California Data Act. If you're in Europe, GDPR, DORA, or ISO. You know, adhering to data privacy regulations and security standards will help you and your organizations to avoid legal penalties and keep your customer and your own data safe. What else is important? Of course, this is classic. I'm pretty sure you see this in every training, every webinar, every session that you attend. User awareness and training. Yes, I know you heard this 1 million times already, but this is still a lacking area. Please educate your employees. Otherwise, you're going to face that you don't want to face, data breach. Here are some examples. You all heard about SolarWinds. SolarWinds first happened in March. I mean, the threat actors, they came through SolarWinds Onion software update first in March 2020. It took nearly 9 months for SolarWinds to detect the attack, to be able to see what was happening. First, they came to the environment, they validated the environment, they established a command and control tunnel, they identified the command control tunnel, they steal what they wanted to steal, they access to the cloud, and finally access to email services. So in that 9 months, a human being can be born in that 9 months, by the way. In that 9 months, if SolarWinds had proper network monitoring, they would be able to see what was happening in the network because all these activities happen in the network layer. Yes, I know it came through a software chain from a trusted, a supply chain attack from a trusted source through a vulnerability, but still, remember my question, which I asked 3 minutes ago? How many people are living in your house? I'm sure you know the answer. So, how many packets should be traveling your network? Are you monitoring your network? Do you have a baseline where usually, for example, on the weekend, you have very low network traffic, but in that 9 month period, you had on the weekend and night time high network traffic? Just an example. So if you cannot identify or if you cannot answer my questions, then most probably you don't have network under control. Let me give you another example. MIVID breach. MIVID is widely used as security and it transmits data, large volume data between networks, and it's been used by many government organizations. They had an issue in May 2023. There was a 0 day, which is usually very hard to detect, and most of your security products usually are useless when it comes to 0 day, unless you look at your network. Look, I know some advanced threat ATPs, they use usually low-level network attacks, so you don't notice that as well. But having the breach mindset would help you to see that there was something unusual happening. What else? I know you cannot see it. I'm trying to. All right, I cannot change. I don't have control, but it says here colonial pipeline breach. Sorry. Oh, what's happening here? So here, the black area is Colonial Pipeline breach. What is the Colonial Pipeline? Colonial Pipeline is the pipeline which connects U.S. East Coast to West Coast for oil. And attackers gain access to Colonial Pipeline system through a VPN account. Again, by the way, they had to pay 75 bitcoins, which was at the time $4.4 million. And the incident highlighted the vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure and the importance of robust cybersecurity measures. And one of them was network security. Similar attack happened in California again, in a water dam, where hackers threat actors tried to change the chemicals in the water dam to poison citizens of California. But this was again unfortunately detected early, and it was avoided. Looking at all of these attacks, I can give you many more of them. There is one common ground, and the common ground is, of course, you have to have your network control, and we as Neox Networks will help you to see what is hidden in your network. How are we going to do that? First of all, before we give you any products, you have to know that in all these attacks, attackers move through the network and they were undetected. It's like going to a pub with a gun or going to an airport with a gun. And unfortunately, all these organizations missed the opportunity for early detection as they didn't have proper network traffic analysis. And how can we help? I mean, you don't have to have always Neox, of course, but we prefer you to use Neox. You can use NITS. What is NITS? NIPS, Intrusion Detection and Prevention. You should have STEAM from Microsoft, from Splunk, you name it, which is Security Information and Event Management, which can help you to see, collate all your logs. If you be able to see what is flowing in your network via NetFlow, you will be able to control it. If you can capture your packets via Wireshark, you will inspect each packet. It's like going to the airport. Remember, if I have a gun and the machine doesn't detect me, I might kidnap the airplane. What else? In your endpoint, you have to have EDR, endpoint detection and response. In your network, you have to have NDR, network detection and response. So putting all these tools together is going to give you end-to-end network security. From your endpoint devices, to your service, to your cloud server providers, as well as to your data centers or whatever you're using. Those are some tools. Okay, let's talk about some tips how you can manage and understand network traffic better. First of all, looking at all these attacks, I mentioned some of them during my talk already. There was a percentage known versus unknown network devices. So, a few days ago, I was chatting to someone from media, and he asked me, he said, like, how can you explain me network security? I mean, he didn't like the example, but I re-insist that. Network security is like being a security guard. I'm talking about physical security guard in a building. If you don't know how many doors, how many windows, how many entry points the building has, on exit points the building has, you cannot protect it. If you don't know how many employees or visitors coming to this network, you cannot protect it. That's why metrics matters. And to be able to protect something, you should know what you have. Then, noise is hacker's best friend. The more loud it is, the easier they can go through. As a result, you have to reduce your dwell time via NDR alerts, via using a proper SIEM, via correlating your network traffic better. You should be able to detect the legitimate traffic, or you should be able to differentiate the network traffic from a legitimate traffic versus to unlegitimate traffic. So the number of lateral movement detections are really, really important. You should be able to identify and eliminate the attack paths. And all this will happen with proper network devices. So the topic is, for today, network priorities for CISOs. I'm a CISO for multiple years. I worked as CISO at Secunia, at Standard Chartered Bank, at Exitium, and now at Neox. And I do some vCISO services through conferences, through my books. As a CISO, what are your priorities? To be able to detect, to be able to protect, you have to know your assets. Your assets management, your threat detection response, if possible, your zero trust architecture, your incident response plan. Put all this together into risk management is going to get you to the next level. Assets management, remember I spoke about it in the building. If you know how many employees are there, who's coming in as a guest, who's a contractor, then you can minimize the possible attack vectors. And in a network environment, this will happen, of course, with the network telemetry for real-time device discovery. If you know how many devices are active in your network, you can manage them. Look, I'm not saying it's easy. I wasn't a customer. They had more than 65,000 endpoint in one building. And this were connecting to many, many different areas. There was a huge traffic. But putting a proper plan will help you to reduce the risk. And that's what it's all about. I talked about NDR, EDR, for layered visibility. Zero trust. Look, if you in a dinosaur environment, it's probably hard to get zero trust architecture, but it's never impossible to start from a greenfield. You can always microsegment and use identify-based control to your most important assets or for your most agile assets. The incident response plan, together with network forensics, containment, and investigations, should be, as a security person, your priority. And of course, risk quantification. Putting all this together, you will be able to see your network-based attack path, which will be able to help you to create some priorities to secure better. Don't forget, network is the new gold, especially with cloud adoption, with AI and everything else. Being able to control what's happening in your network, the network flow, the IPFX, the DNS logs, the PCAPs, the VPC traffic mirroring, will help you to provide a behavior-based anomaly detection. And this is the foundation for threat hunting detection, detection engineering, and of course, ASM. What else? Visibility plus detection equals control. You should know your stack. Remember, we spoke about NDR, SIEM, EDR, XDR, you name it. All what I'm trying to say is, to be able to control it, you have to be able to see it, and you have to be able to detect it. Look, you might detect some attacks without even knowing it, depending on your security product. But at the end, no matter what it is a packet traveling your network. And all this has to be integrated to your endpoint network and identity signals. So having just Neox Falcon, for example, is not just enough to make you immune for cybersecurity or a Neox tab. You should still use the other products, which is going to make you more secure. Okay, as a CISO priorities, everything has to go through risk management. Risk management, risk management, risk management. As an ex-Microsoft employee, I'm pretty sure I watched it, but I'm pretty sure you know about it, where Steve Ballmer and Bill Gates, they were on stage and they were in a conference. Steve Ballmer was saying developers, 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 and he was dancing. I'm pretty sure you saw the scene somewhere on the internet. As a CISO, risk management, risk management, risk management. Risk management is your first priority. And putting network in top of the list, it should be your priority as well. All right. Why risk management? Because network visibility enables proactive risk identification and assessment. I mentioned all the priorities before. You might have an endpoint, you might have a cloud, you have a supply chain, no matter what. Everything has to go through your Cat5 cable. I was looking if I have a Cat5 cable around me. Everything goes through networking. My network devices are there, but my background is not allowing to see you. So everything is a network. Having the network under control is gonna secure you. And putting all this information into one place is gonna help you to make the right decision. Okay, you see, I have a tier decision making. You have alternative, you have uncertainty, you have high risk consequences, you have impersonal issues, you have this, you have that. But putting all the data in front of you, working with cross-functional teams will help you to secure your network. When it comes to cloud, when it comes to no matter what, you should put your priorities into security based on potential impact. Remember, I mentioned during my session that if you have legacy systems, most of the time, the software vendor is going to say, replace your hardware, your software, or whatever. But I was in a marine base as a contractor where they had a legacy system which was controlling billion-dollar aircrafts. All right, replacing the system, an in-house built system, it's easy to recommend. Replace the system. But what about, it's not about the $50,000 hardware or $1 million software. It's a billion-dollar aircraft flying around, multiple of them, which was managed from that. How are you going to change it? It's not sometimes the hardware, sometimes the software which is dependent on that hardware. So in that case, the alternative is to network monitor, put in a zero-trust environment, and to extra monitor the traffic so you can secure it. Compliance is also important. No matter where you are, if you're in Europe, GDPR. If you're in California Data Act is important. In New York, I have to look at my own state's requirements, into my government requirements, into my even if I work for a German company, right? New York's. I should also look at GDPR. So network security controls are essential for meeting your regulatory requirements. If you ever had DORA, ISO, GDPR, NIST, you name it, you will see that network security is a must. And this will happen via visibility, as I mentioned. As visibility provides you audit trails and documentation for demonstrating compliance. I don't know if you ever attended any of compliance. You have to get screenshots sometimes. You have to provide evidences to the auditor where they have the right to come in and to verify if that screenshot is real or not. And this could be GDPR, HIPAA, PCI DSS, NIST frameworks. So no matter what, use it. If you don't have money for ISO 27000, at least follow the NIST framework, which is free to implement, right? Not to get certified. Even ISO, you can just purchase or you can find many online documentations where how you can implement ISO, which will usually have network security there. And as a CISO, this should be also one of your priorities. In summary, we have like 3 5 minutes. The network is both a threat vector and a defensive asset, right? To be able to control it, you have to see it. And I highly recommend you, I mean, yes, I know I work for Neox, but have your, EDR, have your antivirus, have your firewall, have your, you name it, DLP, but please invest in NDR, invest in telemetry, be network aware. Your threat modeling without having network in priority is not good. Don't forget, if you don't see it, you cannot secure it. We at Neox, we will give you the products that will help you to see what is slowing your network so you can secure it. With this, I finished exactly 1 minute earlier. I'm proud of myself. I don't know if there is any questions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask and I will try to read it. If not, please scan the QR code. We will help you to set up a conversation. Our sales team in Europe, in Australia, even Australia or wherever you are in the US, we will help you to reach out. Nadim?
All right, thank you very much for a wonderful webinar. So folks, you can type your questions in the chat window below. We have received actually a couple of questions, so I'll put those here. So the first question is, how do you see the collaboration between the networking and security teams going? Who manages and funds the visibility devices like packet brokers these days?
All right, usually it's the network team. Sometimes the network team reports to the CIO, not to the CISO. But honestly, I really don't care who's managing what. For me as CISO, it's my job to create a security first culture. It's my job to establish communications. Look, communications this time not via TCP/IP, via words, with cross teams. And I have to highlight, look, we are on the same boat. And Titanic, doesn't matter if you were in the first class or you were Leonardo DiCaprio, Bolo class. When the ship sinked, most of them died together. So if a network attack happens, you are on the same boat. And as long as information has been shared safely within teams, I think it's really not important who's managing it, as long as there is a collaboration between teams, will be my answer.
Wonderful. So the other question is, do you offer packet capture devices for 100 gig capture?
Oh, yeah, we do. Actually, that's a question for you as our COO. Would you like to answer it?
I'll actually defer it to you because you're the speaker.
Yeah, of course we do. And I can proudly say that, please look, there is a beautiful QR code there. We have really some great products, which will not just give you the speed, which will also give you the control. I think the best way is not rush to the answer. I would highly recommend you book a time with us or go to our website. We don't have like 500 products. We have 7 or 8 products. You can just go to the website, look in the details, download the brochures, and as the question mentioned, I can probably say that we have not just the best products, also the fastest products, and our CTO Andy is really sharing. It's even faster than that, but for now, let me tell that at least for now, 100 gigabit is what we have, but the speeds are actually even better, and we're working to increase the speeds even better. It's because we know when it comes to incidents, every second matters, and that's a really important matter. Thank you for asking that question, by the way.
Wonderful. I'll just like to add a little bit to that basically when you're looking for a 100 gig capture solution in the industry, please pay attention to whether they can do, number one, full packet capture, and number two, can they do a sustained packet capture. Many vendors would claim 100 gig, but they would do it for maybe a minute or two. So it's very important to check out the products that can sustain 100G over a long period of time, and Neox can probably do that. All right, with that, so thanks a lot for your time here. This webinar is going to be available as a recorded version on our website, later on our YouTube channel, on our LinkedIn, everywhere. If you missed it or you want to forward it to a friend or colleague, you can always watch it there. Also, visit our website. You can follow us there. You can request a product demo. We have a QR code here, and happy to showcase our products to you. With that, thank you very much for your valuable time today, and talk to you later on.